I believe the last 10 years were built on the back of Facebook ads. The next 10 years are going to be built on the back of communities.
All right, folks, this one is about to be a banger. I have Maddy Sukoru, not an Asian woman, an incredibly talented man who raised a bunch of money from ATT Tech to now running his own incredible entrepreneurial journey with GroupShop. Maddy, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you. It's a well, baby. We in here.
That's
We
it.
made it. I'm famous now.
That's it. You're on. You're not your ROAS. I mean, I don't know. It's all downhill from here now. I mean, it's all. So, Maddie, you have a really interesting story. First off, I'm in Austin, Texas, as always. Where's this podcast find you?
I'm here in LA, sunny LA. It's actually, not a bad day today.
There you go. Not a bad day in LA. So I always do a lot of research on my podcast guests, and you have one of the more fascinating journeys. So you ultimately went from ATT Tech to basically raising for GroupShop, which is fantastic. We'll get into what that is a little bit later. But how did you make that jump from basically kind of fairly blue collar menial stuff to basically running your own jam? Tell us a little bit about that.
So a lot happened in between. I mean, it wasn't just like, jump, a straight jump. A lot happened in between, but just to shorten it up, yeah, like dropped out of college, like got a decent job, like with AT&T, like,
Yep.
doing a premise technician. So I was just like a cable guy, I was the guy you called in when you needed, your cable wasn't working.
Yep.
And I came in, acted like I was fixing something, didn't really fix it, told you to reschedule. But yeah, so did that for a couple of years, stacked up some money. Always wanted to like start my own business. Always, had the entrepreneurial spirit. And so left there, had a decent size 401k, cashed that out,
Nice.
started like, a tech marketplace business, like, Airbnb for space rentals, event space rentals. Landed flat on my face, didn't know what I was doing, didn't know how to run a business. I was like, 23, 24 at the time. And so had to pick myself up, just hustle it out.
Yep.
Started an e-com business after that and found some success with that. We were in an electronics niche. And so we were selling, everything from like smartwatches to like, fake AirPods and things of that nature back when you could do that on you can run ads on those on the Facebook platform. And so ended up exiting that business right before like COVID hit. And so that was kind of serendipitous. And then when I exited that business, I was in an interesting place because like, it's COVID and I just, sold an e-commerce business. And so I'm thinking through like, okay, what do I want to work on next? And I kept thinking back to like my biggest pain point, which was customer acquisition.
Yep.
I'd been, worked on different businesses in tech, and I realized one thing in technology, especially like, when you look at marketplaces, there are these things called network effects, where if you acquire one customer, it makes it easier for you to acquire more customers without having to like, increase your spend or run ads, because it's word of mouth, there are referrals, customers are talking, there's hype building. And however, like, in my business and in a lot of e-commerce businesses, like, when you acquire one customer, you have to go back and, put the money back into the Facebook slot machine and try to, get more customers out of that. And this attacks every single time. And so started thinking through how do we create network effects in e-commerce? And, of course, you have like, referral programs and loyalty programs and things like that. But those are just not efficient. And I believe that consumers had grown stale to the give 20, get 20 and those type of offers. Yep. And so started looking at things that were happening in China. I don't know if you're familiar with Pinduoduo, Meituan, or some of these platforms.
Yep.
Yeah, exactly. So it's like, okay, how can we make that happen here in the US? How do we create network effects? How do we turn customers into like, not just like, order numbers? Because a lot of brands see their customers as order numbers. These are people that have friends and have families and have deep networks and connections. How do we how do we make it so when someone buys your product, you're able to infiltrate their group chat and their friend group and their local community? And so that was kind of like the genesis for GroupShop.
How cool, man. I did not know you were that. So that is a bit of that's fantastic. That is really, really cool. When you were kind of like down and out a little bit, how did you pick yourself up? Was there any kind of like books you read, or was it just like, bite down on the mouthpiece and take another step? Or, because that's one of the things that I've seen. So I read a lot of business memoirs and things of that nature. And very rarely, the only one I can honestly think of is kind of Zuck, where he really just never really hit a ton. I mean, obviously there was some tribulations, but he basically went from 0 to 1,000. Like, I mean,
Yeah,
he
like
didn't have that normal founder story where there was this thing and I tried it and I blew up and then I failed and like, so obviously, your first swing wasn't really super successful. It's super challenging when that kind of cuts you deep, especially because your personality is, destined for greatness. I'm going to win, and then you didn't. How did you kind of psychologically rebuild from that to build something as awesome as GroupShop?
that's a great question. It was hard. It was hard because like up to that point, like I always saw myself as someone that can achieve
Yep.
above all odds. And so like, a lot of times people say business is never personal or business not personal. And I say it's typically people say that when it's not their business, right? Like everything in this is personal, right? Like I attach so much of myself into the products I build because they're an extension of me. And so I felt like a failure at that point
Yep.
in my life. And it was really leaning on family and like, I had to go out there, you had to do the Uber Eats. You know what I'm saying? You
Yep.
gotta hustle, you gotta thug it through. Like there's no way around it. Like, we're at the end of the day, like you failure or not, like you still have to keep the lights on. And
Yep.
so it's really just shifting your mind state and like, rebuilding that confidence back within yourself. And that's what I had to do. Like, just reading some entrepreneurial books, like, one of my favorites is the I forget what it's called. I think it's Hatching Twitter. It's just a story
Yeah.
about I spent a lot of time on Twitter, but like just the story about how that company came about and
Crazy.
seeing the ups and downs and turbulence that they went through and like but a lot of it also is just it's just I think was just I started trying different things like I
Yep.
landed on e-commerce, but that was just that was the one that hit you
Yep.
know we did drop shipping. Before that, we just did I tried my hand at like, being a growth marketer.
Yep.
Wasn't very good at it. The world wasn't out back then. I didn't have the cheat code. So yeah, like it was just like try and error. Like, after you spend time moping, like, I just had to, kind of slowly get crawl my way back out of it.
I love that, man. Yeah, I'm totally with you on that. Where take your day to cry over it, and then lick your wounds, and get back on the horse. And it is what it is. And like there's always going to be something, and having that faith in yourself, and just being able to. The thing that I found too with most, like basically what you're just saying. One, you do what you got to do when you have to do it, but also action breeds action. I feel like a lot of people that don't get to where they need to be is because they live in theory land a lot of times. And like
Yeah,
there's a saying where the map is not the territory, where you can have this wonderful plan, but if you never execute on anything, who cares? It's meaningless. And so like
that's a fact.
just be bad and just
You
try
gotta
and be
show up.
better every day. Gotta show up.
Show
I
up.
love that.
Just
Yep.
show up. Like, I mean, I think that's my biggest takeaway from all of this is like, this journey that we choose. And I do say it's a journey that we choose because we do choose this journey, Robert. Like, we
Yep.
can be doing anything else. We're talented
Yep.
people. We can go anywhere else, but we choose to be entrepreneurs. We choose to build products and we choose to innovate. It's filled with ups and downs. And this is something that, no one escapes. Well, except for Zuck. But I mean, he's down right now a little bit if you think about it,
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah,
There's
so
always
like
something.
so it's just something that like I'm starting to be more balanced in my thinking, more balanced in my moods. Like I wear my emotions on my sleeve, right? So when it's
Yep.
up, I'm in the moon. When it's down, I'm down at the floor on the floor, right? So now I'm
Yep.
starting to like learn to be, take the ups with the downs and just like mellow my way through it.
I love that. And kind of that's a perfect segue into the next question I had for you is one of the challenges with early stage stuff is you kind of do lose yourself in terms of showing up in your other, like whether it's, relationships with your significant other, that me personally, where I started in October kind of full time. Like I had my own agency, life is going great. I'm making all this money. And now it's like my whole world's upside down. And I'm building this whole marketing ecosystem from scratch and, 12-hour days and yada, yada, yada. And sometimes you find yourself, one, like life isn't all about working. My belief is like life is about building deep connections with humans you care about. And
I love
sometimes
that.
I don't, show up the best in my relationship when I'm working so much. And so I'm with you now, where I've tried to ride that middle ground now, where the highs aren't as high and the lows aren't as low, but that middle ground for me feels a little more sustainable.
Yeah.
How do you kind of balance your work with your personal life or your personal relationships or hobbies or what have you?
I'm not gonna lie, like I
Yeah,
try to,
I know.
but I'm currently not there. That's something that I need to work on a little better,
Yeah.
similar to what you said about yourself. It's like I think my superpower is intense focus.
Yep.
I think that's the one thing. I don't think I'm the smartest person. I don't think I'm the, hardest working or whatever the case may be. But I think when I focus on a problem, I just zone in on that. And so what I have been able to do really is just ride the momentum. And so when the momentum is going, I am all in on that. And when things taper off and things cool down, then I'm able to rebalance and recalibrate. And
Yep.
so that's kind of like how I've been kind of living. I don't know if that's good or for better or for worse, but like, I've been just like, riding the momentum of when, we're going 100 miles an hour, then yeah, we're going. And when things start to slow down, then, I'm able to like, check around me and make sure that everyone else is good and things like that. But I made a note, like, to really just try to bring it to a more balanced point because it kind of, riding momentum goes with my personality of like,
Yeah.
uh,
Same.
ups and downs, like, just being able to like, wear my emotions on my sleeve. So when things are good, I'm just going 100%. Things are
Yeah.
bad, I'm kind of like, a little bit down about it. So that's not initially good, but I do need to work on that.
Yeah, no, I'm tracking. I'm similar to you, and I love the fact that you said focus. I think that is one thing that a lot of people um, really lack, and quite frankly, I think it's the number one. Luck, timing, and focus, I think, are the three biggest ingredients for entrepreneurial success. Because there's that old joke of the meme of like kind of founders like, oh, we need to acquire more people, and it's just pouring features on, like let's just launch new features, and like obviously that's great, and it's a little bit the kettle calling the pot black because we launch a lot of features, but
But you guys have a core product.
yeah, exactly. And so at the end of the day, there's a certain aspect of like having that focus is so important. And it can really, I think, permeate through your team, which is even more important as you being at the top, you're the leader, and people are going to value what you value. And if you value focus, I think that's a really big deal because then the team starts to value what you value. So I love that, man. That's beautiful.
Yeah, exactly. And same here, like, and I think that's a problem that you face when you really have a cool, unique, and innovative product that can go in so many directions. Like, this temptations to add all kinds of features and go in so many different ways because it's like a blue ocean for you.
Yep.
And so you just have to hunker down and decide the core thing or two or three things that you really want to, spend time on. And that's something that we struggle with as well.
Yeah, I mean, feature creeps are real. It's real, man. It's super easy, especially when you have a bunch of smart people. It's like, oh, we should
Exactly.
do this, we should do that.
A
It's
lot
like,
of good
no, no, no.
ideas.
Yes, and
A lot of good
it's
ideas, and that's the thing with Steve Jobs. Like I learned that I read the Steve Jobs book a while back,
yep.
and my main takeaway from that was like saying no to the good ideas so that you can say yes to the one or two great ideas.
Oh, you took that right out. Look at this guy, steps ahead of me. That was it. That's
Listen,
where I was going with that. That's it. You
I
came to
also
play
step my
today,
game
kid.
up. So I had
Came
to
to
step my
play.
game up.
I
I had to
love
step
it.
my game up.
I love it. Okay, two more questions, and we'll wrap up the main segment. What's the best and worst piece of advice you've ever received?
That's a good one. What's the best piece of advice I've ever received? The best piece of advice I've ever received is let it come to you. Let life come to you.
Interesting. I like that.
What's the worst advice? I hear bad advice every day. Like I wish I can really I wish on my goal is to make fuck you money so I can go on Twitter every day and just, quote all the bad advice I see. Like bad advice. Bad
Just throw
advice.
shade.
Bad advice. Yeah, no, I mean it's just I can't even think about the worst advice anyone's. And the thing about me too, I listen to everybody. I'm willing to talk to every single. And with that, you get a lot of opinions, a lot of bad advice, because bad advice often comes with no context. Right?
Yes, so well put.
So
well put.
like you're hearing all these people give you feedback. I'll circle back on that one, Rob. I don't want to slow the momentum.
No, I love it. That's a little bit of pessimism too. We'll keep the vibe light. I like
yeah,
that.
let's
I like
keep
it.
the vibe high.
Okay, well, keeping the vibe high. Last question. What's the nicest thing someone has done for you?
What's the nicest thing someone has done for me? I'll say this. I think so. I am originally Cameroonian. My parents are Cameroonian.
Cool.
Cameroon is a country in West Africa. My mom came here while she was pregnant with me to give birth to me here in America because she wanted me to have a better opportunity, and she knew that I'll be able to have a brighter future here than I would back home. Home is home, but we all know the perils of third world, nation. And so I think that's the kindest thing anyone's ever done for me. So shout
Oh,
out to
I
my mom.
love that. Shout out, mom. And actually, the previous person, the No Commerce CEO, his wife is Cameroonian.
Jeremiah,
Yeah, Jeremiah J Plum.
my God,
Yeah,
solid
yeah,
dude.
he's
Yeah,
a
no,
good dude.
I
Very
talked to,
good guy.
yeah, I spoke to Jeremiah maybe a couple weeks ago, like off the whim. He was like, "Yeah, let's chat." Like, and just
Fantastic human.
hopped on the phone. Gave me $1 million worth of game for free, and I was like, you
Fantastic
know
human.
what? You're a solid guy.
Yeah, real talk. He's a great dude. And actually, my dad is also from Africa. He's from Algeria, so a little bit east of you
Woo!
guys. But
Hey,
yeah,
listen,
North Africa. Shout out.
look at Africa is
Let's go.
making
Let's
moves
go,
out here,
kids.
man.
Let's go,
We
kids.
gotta do it. We gotta trip. We gotta do a trip.
Yeah, let's
Tour the
go.
whole
Yeah,
continent.
I
North
did.
and south.
Yeah, actually, so my dad remarried, and his new wife is Moroccan, and we went out to Morocco a couple years ago for a couple weeks, and
Oh
it's a
wow.
beautiful country. It is
Very,
really
very. That's on my list for sure. I
super
love like,
modern, beautiful.
yeah. You ever see the pictures of like the backyards with the tiles and like the
Hmm.
pool and
Yep.
like I love like I definitely some my girlfriend actually went a couple years ago and she like rubs it in my face all the time.
Yeah.
So
And if you like to eat, the cuisine is only second to French. It's fantastic food, very
I do
good food, and
see.
it's healthy. I lost like 7 pounds, and I ate crazy. And what's even crazier, and then we'll get into the value add segment, but the how the states or pretty much the West has perverted, or not even Europe. Europe does a good job of this, but pretty much just the states has perverted eating, where you go there and like when you have a meal, dude, like everybody stops. You sit down, people talk, you enjoy the food, blah blah blah. Where it's like
There's no
here, dude,
TV
I'm like
going.
no TV, nothing, right? Like here, I'm like eating while I'm still working. I'm sending an email, I'm WhatsApps and Maddie. Like there's all
Yeah.
these things going on where everybody's just like, it's
Oh
meal
man.
time. Let's eat and stuff like that. And it was a really interesting the relationship with food versus the West or in specific the States is such a you don't know it until you kind of get out of it. If that
Expensive.
makes sense. Yeah, yeah. And it
Yeah.
was really cool.
Oh wow. So now I guess Morocco's moved to top of my list. I mean,
It's awesome.
thank you. Thank you. So
Super
like
awesome.
and I do love food. I love
Yeah,
like food culture. So
yeah.
I
It's
definitely I'll let you we'll talk after this for
yeah. I'll
recommendations.
give you the agenda. It was really very cool. Bunch of really
Yeah.
awesomeness. All right, baby. We're in the value add segment. This is why the people bought the ticket. Okay, give us the pitch on GroupShop. Tell me why you started it. Was there an aha moment? Give us some color there.
Yeah, so as I said earlier, like the main goal was trying to figure out how do we create network effects in e-commerce?
Yeah.
How do we
Well,
create
tell people that don't know what it is first.
Oh, well, GroupShop's an e-commerce platform. Essentially, our goal is to help you turn your customers into your growth partners. We want to help you, transfer the money away from the big ad platforms like Facebook and, Google and, transfer a portion of that over to your customers because your customers, they bought your product, they're sold on your vision, and they want to talk about your product. They're already talking about your product, but, now incentivize them to talk a little bit more and share a little bit more. And so that's what we do. Our goal is not to replace your existing tools. Our goal is to enhance and help you acquire more customers in a cheaper manner.
Love it.
That's as simple as I can put it.
Beautiful. I love it. And so you kind of gave us a little bit of background on it before, but was there like, what was the aha moment? It was from when you exited your e-com business and you're like, oh man, there has to be a better way. There's
Yeah.
just space in the
And
market.
looking at Pinduoduo, for those who don't know, at one point was the fastest growing tech business e-commerce platform in the world, fastest to 100 billion revenue. And they did this all peer-to-peer without, any ads. It was just people, referring other people to come shop together in order to get better deals and discounts. And so I started thinking through, okay, how do we do that here in the US? We can't really do it because a lot of these platforms are closed off. Facebook doesn't have an open API for us to tap into. And so started thinking through, okay, maybe we could do it on a platform level and use the brands as conduits to reach end customers, right? If you shop at Nike and you love Nike's products, chances are, your group of friends or cousins, family members are also going to be interested in Nike products. And if it's better for them to experience the brand through you than from an ad, they're more likely to convert, they're more likely to be loyal. And, if they hear it from you directly, and more importantly, if you're able to now get some money back or get and give your friends some discounts or things of that nature, now you're also more likely to be loyal to Nike as a brand in the long run.
100%.
And so that was kind of the thinking behind it. And we went around and just, built that into a platform.
I love that. What are the best parts and hardest parts of running GroupShop?
the best parts is just, being able to pass on some of the marketing dollars directly back to customers, back
Yep.
to consumers, right? Being able to, like, building a tool that empowers people to, like, earn for their influence, because at the
I
end of
love
the day,
that.
that's all we're really just trying to do at a really high level, is turn, customers into influencers, into, creators and things of that nature. The
I love that.
hardest part is, just the business part of it, right? The day to day, the things that aren't sexy,
Yep.
you know, the hiring, the firing, the making sure everyone's aligned and things of that nature. I am a product guy. I love living inside the product,
Yeah.
and so oftentimes I have to get out of that as a CEO and the founder of the business to,
Yep.
like, do other things in the accounting, HR and things of that nature. Things that are not, like, core to the things I enjoy doing.
Yeah, I think people overlook a lot of the boring stuff sometimes, and a lot of times the boring stuff is foundational. Where, like, if
Yes.
you don't have that in place, man, it can come up and bite you later, and it is just a headache of headaches. So
Yeah.
I'm really happy to hear that you're putting the required time there, because
Yes, it's a
it isn't
structure. I mean,
it's
I
not
don't I
sexy.
don't enjoy doing it.
Yeah.
It's not the funnest thing to do, right? It's not the funnest part of running a business, but it's what moves the needle forward.
Yep, it's the ante to sit at the table and to drive the boat. I love that. Tell me a little bit about the fundraising process. So you guys raised a little bit of money, doing well. This is your first time raising money, yes?
Yes, this is my
Yeah.
first time taking outside capital. And it was kind of, you hear the typical, got 1,000 no's and 3 yeses story. I mean, it wasn't the traditional path for us. The first VC we spoke to, they said yes, Market Capital. Shout out to Brandon, the partner that I worked with on the deal over there. Shout out to all the VCs that we work with, our partners at GroupShop, Slauson and Co, Wonder Co. Yeah, like, we went start to finish in about 3 weeks.
Amazing.
Raised a little over $1 million, and so that allowed us to, like, build out the team, build out the
Love
product,
that.
and be able to take it out to market where we are today.
That's so fantastic. What was there any kind of leeway between when you pitched and when you got the decision? Like, was there a little bit of sweating, or, like, was it pretty much like, hey, let's do this? Like, it was pretty done and quartered,
Yeah,
or
I
was there,
mean,
like, a gap where you're like, looking at the phone, Maddie, what are you doing? Shut up. They might text me. Hold on. I'm waiting for the phone call. Like, give me a little
yeah,
color there.
I mean, it wasn't that dramatic, but it's always
Okay.
some drama, right? I mean, because, oftentimes, as you notice, y'all are crushing it on the fundraising side and the business side. It's like, it's not necessarily, it's the terms of
Yeah.
what makes the
Yeah.
deal,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. Yeah.
And so,
100%.
there's a little, tug and pull on
Yeah.
as
Yeah.
far as the terms, and the actual, granular aspects of the deal. But, like,
Yep.
overall, it was a smooth process. It wasn't too dramatic.
That's fantastic. That is a very unique situation. A lot of times where
Very.
to your point, the 1,000 no's, or, yeah, I'll invest, but I want 70%, or, like, just egregious terms, or you're like, what are you doing? You're like, that's
Yeah.
nuts. I love
Exactly. You
that.
kind of spoiled me a little bit. Now I'm
Yeah.
like, I'm expecting, like, you were like, oh, what about the next round? I'm like, you know, but
100%.
yeah, I'm sure I'm going to be humbled at some point.
Oh, I love that. How do you see the next 2 to 3 years unfolding for e-commerce, like in the macro sense?
I think we're going to see a shift down to, like, you're going to see less brands getting started up. I mean, you're already seeing venture capital dry up in the space.
Yep.
And you're going to see the money that went into, like, the DTC brands and the e-com brands are now going to go into the tools, like, that we're building, like, Triple Well, GroupShop, and things like that to enable the brands. You're going to see, more investment on tools and enablement technology. And then we're also going to see, but I think with less brands, we're going to see better and stronger brands that are built around communities. They're built around solid products that people really love and enjoy, as opposed to brands that are built around marketing, as
Yep.
we've seen in the past. I believe the last 10 years were built on the back of Facebook ads. The next 10 years are going to be built on the back of communities. And I know that's like
Love that.
the word of the month. I mean, word of the year for, like, e-com Twitter, it's community. But I truly do believe that, right?
I'm with you.
There's no other way. People have to truly love the products you're making, or else you can't survive.
That's so eloquently put. I love that. I 100% echo those views. And I think people might have kind of like a morbid view of it. I see it more in the sense of like a phoenix, where it's like creative destruction, where there was just a lot of bad businesses that were, to your point, making a ton of money off of Facebook arbitrage, where the ads were not only underpriced, but the targeting was really great. And so you had both of these tailwinds that were really, helping these people grow these businesses that, quite frankly, weren't fundamentally sound. They weren't having, like, it was almost the era of the drop shipper, right? Where it's like you would just make a first sale profit and then you just hoodwink another person, another person. And like, that's not how you build a strong foundational business, especially in, I wouldn't call this like necessarily a bear market, but it's definitely, maybe it is a bear market with Netflix. You see that Netflix has lost 30% of their market cap after hours. Like,
that's just today. We'll see.
Yeah, exactly. Like, that is spicy. That is super spicy.
I wouldn't want to be over there.
No, I know. There's kind of the joke of like the password sharing and the expenses are tightening down and stuff. But yeah, that's I think Reed Hastings is a fantastic CEO. Don't get me wrong.
No, one of the best.
That's a big haircut, man. Almost losing a third of your market cap overnight that's brutal. That's tough.
This right here says it all.
I need to read that. Oh, I heard it's amazing. It's good.
I haven't started yet. Okay. But I have it here. I
just got the book flex.
I have it here every day. Like, I'm gonna get to you eventually. I just put it out so I can look at it. I'm talking like, all right, yeah. I'll get to you.
Oh, that's amazing.
And so, when I'm on a call, sometimes you might need to put it out. Like, look what I'm reading.
Oh, what a flex. That's fantastic. For people that are listening, this is the biography, or not biography, but the book on the Netflix culture. Netflix has a famous culture that Reed Hastings has cultivated. One of the fascinating things about it, and so I've read a few essays on him, he has a super liberal, what's the line in the handbook? Mediocre work is met with a gracious severance policy or something. I'm basically paraphrasing.
Yeah,
he only wants killers. He only wants
killers. They'll fire you. They'll give you like a 6 months or a year of your pay. Just leave.
Yeah, if you're not a killer, like 9 months severance, just laters, and that's really fascinating.
We don't want that energy here.
Yeah, it's really fascinating to me. But it's so funny you have that book. It's amazing. I love it. What's one thing in the e-commerce community people aren't talking about and should be?
What's one thing in the e-commerce community that people aren't talking about and should be? I think, that's a great question, because people are talking about a lot of things. I think the biggest thing that people aren't talking about and it should be is, I think, LTV, the lifetime value of customers. I think oftentimes, we're in acquisition, part of the funnel, right? We're telling brands and, we get new customers for brands. But like, I think we know a lot of people don't think through what is the life cycle of their customer.
Yeah.
Like, like how else can I, 3 months, 9 months, 12 months, 5 years from now, is this person still going to be a customer? And if they are, then, maybe I should pay more to acquire them, because I know that, that LTV is just going to stretch out. And what venture money actually did was made a lot of people forget about that, because you were able to spend whatever to acquire customers.
Great point. I love that. And it's very aligned with your other thesis of community as well as GroupShop, because GroupShop's bringing people that are usually higher LTV potentiality, because these people are word of mouth is so, like, I'm a big believer in, before somebody transacts with you, they need to like you, know you, trust you. And if Maddie says something, like, pretty much, I know Maddie, I trust Maddie, and I like Maddie, and by extension, I like, there's no better endorsement than a friend, family member, what have you, on a product. And so I think that's such a great answer. And then to your point as well, community can also enhance your LTV. So I think get GroupShop and then community, and boom, 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 you'll really nail that LTV.
I think what, best case scenario for us is to be able to, help brands discover who are those, diamonds in the rough, as far as your customers, right? Because often brands, if you think about influencer, a lot of brands now are running creator influencer campaigns, but how are they finding these creators and influencers? They're going and searching on TikTok hashtags and things like that, right? But your customers are your best influencers and creators, because they've already bit and bought the product from you. Then they're using the product. you should be searching within your own customer base for those ambassadors. Why are you gifting random people? You should be gifting the people within your own, segmented audience. But yeah, like that's something that we think about a lot, and something we're trying to, really be the one tool that helps power community for brands.
I love that, man. It's fantastic. Okay, one last question, and then we'll jump into the rapid fire. What is one of the most memorable moments from running GroupShop? Is there anything that comes to mind where it's like, oh man, this was like a really like, oh, what a memory?
Yeah, I think was the most memorable moment was when we built an MVP, just like,
Yep.
just simple version of the product. And I talked to D Murthy, the owner of the 5-4 group here in Los Angeles. He runs brands like Younger Reckless and like a bunch of other like men's fashion brands.
Beautiful.
And so he was like, he had the trust and faith in me to say, hey, put this, simple app, this simple Shopify app onto my store. And so we just like, put it onto one of his stores, Young and Reckless. And, the first month we generated like, 5 to like 6K in revenue for them.
Whoa.
Yeah. No marketing, just putting a GroupShop widget on there. And,
cool.
Of course that store went on to did millions in revenue that month, but just like, just being able to like say we were able to generate some kind of revenue, just without any type of marketing, just with the widget itself, very rough, not even a real version of a product. And, that was just phenomenal. And that's what gave me the confidence to know that, we might be onto something. And so I always think back to the early beginning on my darkest days when it's tough and I'm like, man, fuck it, I want to quit. I'm like, you know what? That feeling was just so phenomenal. Like, I'm always chasing it.
Can't stop, won't stop. I love it. My man, you made it to the rapid fire segment. You ready to do this?
Yeah, man, we did it.
All right. Okay, get into the hot seat. Here we go. We're actually talking about this offline, so I actually added this question. But Nike Dunks SB, overrated or underrated?
Super, super underrated. I know a lot of people, a lot of kids now are going for the regular Nike Dunks. Like, I see a lot of those, like they try to make a resurgence. But the SBs, like they had flavor. I look at the SBs like, like you go into your ice cream store and you're able to like, pick whether you want vanilla, you want strawberry. But with the SBs, you're able to like, you want vanilla with like caramel. Like it just had different kinds of flavors.
Yeah, I'm with you on that. Straight heat. So I was stalking your Instagram and you had a quote by him. So I wanted to ask you, overrated, underrated. Jean-Michel Basquiat.
Previously, I would have said underrated. But now, since his estate essentially just like put a slap in his face on every single thing that, and just slapping his art on every t-shirt, skateboards, pillows, on anything they can monetize, I would say overrated. Unfortunately, it hurts my heart. It hurts my heart. But, I think great art should be experienced in a very unique manner. It shouldn't be like, just put on everything.
Yeah, very intimate, very, very cool dude. And ironically, or not ironically, but didn't get to really experience a lot of his success like a lot of artists, which is sad, which is really sad.
Yeah, like I see a Tiffany's ad with Basquiat on it. Basquiat would not want that. Like, just reading the stories about him, watching like, the biography movie made about him, he was like really about like, same old. He was really about like, just the culture and like, trying to educate through the art and like, like he was a true artist, like graffiti artist, everything, like,
That's fantastic pieces, though. Fantastic pieces. Really, really, really amazing artist.
Goals on one of those, maybe one of these decades.
Same Z, right? Well, not now, because Jay-Z over here pushing up all the prices.
Yeah, right. That's what they're doing, driving up the prices.
Small digression. I was watching I forget what it was, but the Salvador Mundi. You know anything about that? It was like the Jesus painting, and then the Russian guy bought it, but the Russian guy got hoodwinked he paid 85 million or 89 million for it, but the guy that actually brokered the deal took away 44 million, blah, blah, blah. And then they ended up selling it to the Saudi prince for 450 million. And then they found out it was not really actually Leonardo da Vinci that painted it. Anyways, I'm in the weeds, but it's really interesting.
Sounds like something that's happening in crypto right now somewhere in the world.
Zing! I love it.
It's like something's happening in Web3 right now somewhere.
Oh, I love it. Shopify, overrated or underrated?
Shopify is very underrated as an ecosystem, as a platform.
Love it.
I have no bad words.
No, same here. Yeah, we sit
Yeah.
on top of it
They're
as
doing,
well.
they're
We
doing,
love
they're
it.
doing some funny things with like, with acquiring competitive apps and doing some stuff like that. But, I still like, for what they've been able to achieve and unlock, like compared to what Amazon's been able to do on the other side of things, like,
100% with you.
it's not an easy feat. Like,
Yep.
it's not easy what they've been able to do.
I totally with you. We love the people from up north.
Yeah.
Love the
There are a lot of people like
Canadians.
us to build, to earn a living.
So well put. So well put. And you're not going to start a brand on Amazon. You're just not.
You're
Full
not.
stop. You're
You're
going
not
to
going
want
to
to
build.
own it. You're going to want to own
You
real
want to
estate.
own the customer journey. You want to
Yep.
own as much of that as possible. The customer experience.
Yep.
It's Amazon is Walmart to Shopify's
Yep.
boutique. Store in Melrose.
Yeah. I even take it a step further. I call it the Costco, where it's like there's cool stuff on there, but like you buy an iPhone in Costco versus you buying an iPhone in the Apple Store, that is just totally different experiences. Totally,
You're
and it's the
right.
exact same. Like there's luxury products in Costco's. You can get nice tech. You can get
Yes, really
but
nice
it's
stuff.
just a
Not a
weird
good
experience. It's just a weird.
You have to wait in that
experience. Very
line.
sterile. Yeah, you
Yeah.
might grab a hot dog for $1, which is maybe that's a bump. But other than that, I don't know. It's just a sterile experience.
No, that's
that
a
you don't
great
control.
analogy.
Yeah.
No, that's I'm still on that one.
Yeah,
Thank you.
absolutely. Pulp Fiction, overrated, underrated?
Super underrated. One of the best movies ever made.
With you, 100%. Such a great flick. I mean, iconic
Like
cult classic.
I was just talking to someone about this. You know the scene with Mia Wallace where she's getting a milkshake and John Travolta's character is like, I forgot his name, but he's like a $5 milkshake.
Yep.
And it's like, where like this is crazy. Like that's super expensive. And funny enough, I was craving a milkshake. Don't ask me why. I went and bought one the other day, and they charged me like $8-9. And I was just thinking back in the day, they thought $5 was expensive for a milkshake. I wanted like inflation, man. But
100%.
that's just I'm on a tangent there, but
No, I love it. I'm with you. Like the Zed's Dead is one of my like favorite. Just whole like it's just there's so many just iconic scenes when she overdoses on cocaine and then they slap her with just so many good scenes in there.
Just
The
phenomenal
driving in the
cinema.
back car, great.
That's phenomenal cinema.
So well put. So well put. I love it. So I know you're a little bit into the antique cars, so this might be out of bounds for some of our listeners, but not for you. BMW M3 E30 Sport Evolution, overrated or underrated?
Super overrated. I mean, not underrated. I'm sorry, I should have done it. Super underrated.
It's a fun little car, right?
Yeah, like that thing zings.
Yeah.
It
Some of
zings. I mean, it has some electrical problems.
Sure.
Like it has some issues. You
As
kind of
you
have
do.
to maintain it a little bit, but that thing moves.
Yeah, it's a fun little whip.
And the funny thing is, like, I don't know. I'm trying to get more into cars. I recently got a electric car, and so like, but I my goal in life is to like get back to like a water cooled Porsche, like
There you go.
like old school 1990s, like some and just fix it up over time, put some money into it, and just be able to cruise on the weekends.
I love that.
It's the little things in life,
It's the little things in life. Like what you were telling me offline, money's to be spent. You got to put it into your
things
hobbies.
you enjoy, man. A lot of times, like people worship it, and people like at the end of the day, like you can't take it with you.
Yep.
You use it. It's a tool. You use it for your benefit and for the benefit of others around you.
I love that, my man. I love that. NFTs, overrated or underrated?
Currently overrated.
Yeah.
Currently overrated. I know I have a lot of friends who made a lot of money on it. But we need utility. We need things that are like, the world is very fucked up. We need to be building things that are like, at least making the world a little bit brighter. And not saying art doesn't, but like, a lot of resources that go into that type of stuff, I think should be going into, other things that can also do, just as much good, if not more. But that's just one man's opinion.
No, and I'm going to pile on a little bit because I have a little bit of an NFT buff, and I know it's your rapid fire section, so I won't talk too much. But I think the worst, like NFTs are actually really cool, like the protocol, but like art is just such a bad use case of it because for me, what drives value in art is scarcity. And by definition, you don't have scarcity because I could have this digital art. So the thought experiment I do is like, so what if you have a digital art show in the same place or at different places at the same time? Like what piece is better? And like, how do you drive scarcity? Like the whole thing, like art is basically scarcity and culture. And so like you can do the culture thing, but the scarcity piece is gone. There's no scarcity.
I don't even think the culture thing is being done on NFTs because a lot of the art is being done by people on Fiverr and things of that nature, right? And so like I like the utility of it, right? But I think it's a hammer searching for a nail to hammer down on.
Oh, that's
right?
really well put. And
yeah, so, I think go ahead.
Oh, I was just going to say, to your point, like one of the things to make the world a better place, like one of the things that really gets my goat. So I went to school for economics, and I hate when people distort markets. And so one of the things that you could do is have NFT tickets to concerts, and you can only charge more than 3x of that ticket or something like that. And so you could start screwing over Ticketmaster and all these people that buy up the tickets and pervert the
Yeah,
market, where it's like, hey, you can only charge more than 3x, and that price can't go more. You can't resell this ticket for more than 3x. And
yeah,
that way you can have these like cool experiences to concerts
yeah,
and all these things that don't price people out, that are actual fans that want to go and support their artists and stuff like that, versus people that just have the economics to do it and stuff like that. And so I think there's definitely cool applications for the
there are.
protocols and stuff, but I think art is just not the path. I love the hammer searching for a nail. That's so well
Yeah,
put.
and I think at some point we will get there, and there are companies that are working to build,
Yep.
those utility functions. And I think, like, I'm very bullish on what the future holds for it, but I just think the
Same.
current iteration now is just, it's more of a financial gain, for people who are able to, like, incur the gas fees and the high prices and things like that, and hold it and wait to sell it to, the next person and things like that. So
It's
that's
a
not
greater
that's
fool
not fun,
theory.
right? Because
Yeah.
we're product we're building we're product builders. We're
Yep.
in here trying to build new things and bring them into the world, right? I
Yep.
see. I equate business to art in a lot of ways,
Yep.
because it takes
Yep.
a lot of creativity, a lot of imagination to take something from your mind and bring it out to the world and have other people experience it in the same way that you do. And
Yep.
so I think about that often and a lot.
Yeah, I'm with you. I think it was a Jobs thing where he was like, basically, business sits at the confluence of like art, development, and economics, where you have all these three things kind of come together to make this thing blossom. Because without any of those three, it's really challenging to make a really really valuable company.
Wow, that's very well put. I'm gonna actually do some research on there and read more about where he said that. Yeah,
Yeah, yeah, he's the man.
yeah, for sure.
Horrible human, but really really incredible
Yeah, a lot
business
of
guy.
people say that. I mean, a lot of people say he was a horror. I don't know. I mean, I never met the
Yeah.
man, but I mean, reading from just how he
Have you
treated some people, you
the
can see, like,
Isaacson?
yeah,
Have you
he
read the
probably
Isaacson
wasn't all
bio?
the way there. But
The
like with a lot of things, right? Like this, the people we're all imperfect beings.
True, but I mean, if what's true about him and his daughter, that's pretty
Oh
terrible.
yeah,
Where
yeah, yeah. About
he
how
was
yeah,
rich as f, had all this money, and still didn't want to give her any money, help her out.
yeah,
He went as far as saying he couldn't have kids, that couldn't be his daughter because he had a vasectomy, which he didn't. Like a lot of this kind of
yeah, yeah,
really
yeah,
gnarly
yeah. I
stuff,
would
where it's
say
like,
yeah,
I don't
yeah,
know, like
yeah. That's not solid. Like no
show up a
defending
little
that.
better in that. But
Yeah,
is what it
yeah.
is. To
We
your
can do better.
point, we
Yeah,
weren't
yeah,
there. Maybe this is hearsay and stuff, but the
yeah,
Isaacson biography was, there were some anecdotes in there where it's like,
yeah.
that's
Yeah,
pretty
yeah, yeah,
gnarly.
yeah. I would say, yeah, you're right. Even
There's
like, not wanting to give like early employee stock
yeah,
and stuff like that. Yeah, yeah. Like, you're
there's
right. Like,
some
I
stuff
forgot.
to
I
it.
mean,
It was
you
what it
forget
was.
sometimes, right? You forget sometimes,
success
right? Yeah, yeah,
success can blind people, or
yeah.
it's
You
like,
you forget
damn
sometimes.
this.
You're right. You're right. You're right. You're right. You're
But
right. He did some very not kosher things.
yeah,
You're right. 100%.
it was what it was. He's definitely
Yeah, it is
a
what it is.
super dude. Um, Overrated, underrated. Founding a company.
Super overrated, man.
Yeah.
Super overrated. And I know it's like, I'm a founder myself, and I like, but like, I think for me, the only way I'm founding another business, and the only way I founded this business, and every other business that I ever founded, is I'm a builder, and
Yep.
I don't consider myself a founder.
Yep. I love
I
that.
like to build things the same way, a Basquiat likes to paint, the same way
Yep.
Michael Jordan likes to play basketball.
Yep. I love
I
that.
love to take things, ideas in my head, and bring them out to life. It's not because I want to be a founder. It's not because the only way I'm founding another company is if I have a real problem I can't stop thinking about. There's something that I want to put into the world that just doesn't exist, or there's a better way for me that I think I could be solving something. That's the only way I do it. Like, it's the last resort.
I love
Like,
that.
for me to like go on this life journey, and like, the amount of time, energy, and emotional drain, like, it's super, a lot of people, like, it's glamorized now in
I
media,
totally
like,
agree.
no, I think, like, there's nothing wrong with, like, working, and like, working on things that you're passionate about and you love doing. I think that's, a lot of people, like, and this is a kind of goes on a bit of a tangent, but like, a lot of people worship Elon Musk, and I'm like, Elon is cool, but I think about thousands of people that work at these companies every day that are putting in the work to make sure that, the Falcon 9 makes it up to Mars or wherever the hell it's going next.
Yeah.
That's not
Yeah.
Elon. That's
Yeah.
those are
Don't
everyday
get me,
people,
don't get me on my
and so
Elon
there's nothing wrong with
tangents.
that.
Yeah, yeah, and that was something that I had to come to terms with as well, because I was for a really long time like an entrepreneurial maxi, where it's like everybody should start their own business, blah blah blah. And then I came to the realization, like what you're saying is like there's nothing wrong with being an employee, working hard, clocking out, enjoying your life. Like some people just don't have the risk tolerance, and to your point of like the ups and downs of an entrepreneurial journey are rough. And like if you don't
Man,
have that in you, and you don't have this like unerring belief that you will succeed and make it out to the other end, like it's just not for you, man. Like if
man,
I think it was actually Elon Musk or something. Somebody said that, like, what would you tell an entrepreneur to ask you, like, should they start a business or not? And he said, if they're asking me that question, they shouldn't,
yeah,
because it's
exactly.
like
What them
full
for doing?
stop. Like you just
You
have
just
to,
do it. It's not
you,
about asking for opinions. It's just I just got to do it.
go,
It's like
yeah,
it's like having an itch. You have to scratch it, right? And the
exactly.
thing about it is that the one thing I will say, and why I say it's super overrated, is because you never turn it off. You take it home with you.
That's really
You
big
take it
point,
home with
man.
you.
It's
It's
very
with you at
challenging.
all times. With you
Yes,
when you're with your girl, when with your
yes,
kids, with your
yes.
mom. You're driving down the
Very hard.
street. You're about to sleep. You're in the shower. It's with you.
Yep, that's so well put. I love that.
Yeah,
Shoe Dog, overrated, underrated?
super underrated.
Great
Nike
book, right?
essentially not just a book, just learning. Nike is just man. If the story of Nike is not supposed. Nike shouldn't exist.
Yes. They drank a lot though, didn't they? They
They,
poured
there
it.
was a lot of drinking. It was a lot of drinking. They were alcoholics. They ran a lot, drank a lot.
Yeah, yeah.
Just like just that journey, like you would think, it's just a straightforward, hey, he started one of the shoe companies, started a brand. No,
Oh,
started up as a shoe salesman, like
so fun. But
yeah,
for those of you that don't
great
know,
book.
Shoe Dog is a memoir by Phil Knight, the founder of Nike, and it's an absolute
A
sensational
great
read.
read.
Fantastic read.
Yeah.
Favorite meal and why?
Uh, I hope my girlfriend isn't listening. She's trying to get me to eat a little healthier, but I love French fries.
Yeah.
I can eat French fries for breakfast, lunch, dinner, and a snack.
Do you have a variation preference? Like, do you like the crunchy? Do you like the curly? Do you
Well,
like the
I'm gonna switch it
straight?
up on you. Robert, what place has your favorite French fries? French fries.
Ooh, good question. Honestly, man, I think that I got to go back to I don't know if they even have them here in Texas, but I actually enjoyed the steak and shake. I don't know if they have them in California or not, but
I
they're
think
the
so.
fork fries. You have to eat them with a fork almost, and then
They're
you throw
like the
some
fat
cheese
ones.
on them. No, they're like the string fries almost that you
Uh-huh.
have to aggregate together, and then you use a fork to eat them
Oh,
up, and you throw
that
some
sounds
condiments
fire.
on them. They're not horrible. Yeah, I
Yeah,
enjoy
that
them,
sounds
man.
fire.
I'm
Uh,
also a fan of the curly fry too. Like a nice curly fry
yeah,
can get
curly.
it done too.
I rarely eat here, but Jack in the Box has a great curly fry.
Not horrible. Not horrible.
Yeah,
It can
if
play.
you're ever like hungover,
Yeah,
after a night of,
exactly.
you're not in Austin. I know how y'all get down.
Okay. Sixth Street shout out. Okay, here's a
Yeah.
weird one for you then. Have you ever done the Wendy's fry and the frosty?
Nah, I've
Oh
seen
my
people
gosh,
do it.
bro.
It's good.
That's
I'm not. I
fantastic.
can't.
I
I can't.
hated on it. I
I'm
hated
kind of
on it.
weird with
And
food.
then
I don't
I
like
can
mixing
dig it.
food like that.
Totally
But
with
like
you.
I've seen people do it. So
Yeah.
are you
It's
vouching?
it's
Are you putting your stamp on approval on that?
not horrible. It's
Uh,
definitely
I like that. I'm sorry, not
particular
horrible.
taste. It's definitely particular taste, but in the right frame of
Oh, I'll
mind, it
try
is
it. I'll try and let
delicious.
you know. I'll try to let you know. I'll try. If you're listening out there, tweet us. Let us know if we might
Wendy's in
do
a
a
fry.
poll on this.
We need to
I'll
put a
do a
poll.
poll
We'll
on
throw.
this.
I love it. Your favorite antique car?
My favorite antique car, I believe, the Porsche 991.
Yeah.
I think that's a 1990 model. I might have the number wrong. I believe that's what it is. But I love that. Just love that build.
That's the
Like,
weird. That's the rear engine, right? And then the big
yeah, that's a
wings.
rear engine and like with the
Sexy.
bug eyes, like it
Yeah,
comes out. Yeah,
sexy.
like
I
it's
love
just.
those.
Yeah, I love that car. It
Yeah,
just looks. I'm a stickler for design. Like I
yeah.
love great designed products. Like
Iconic
things that are
design
just
too.
aesthetically beautiful.
I
I
love
don't know about the engineering and mechanics behind it all the way, but I
it.
just when I look at it, I'm like, okay, they took their time to really And it's crazy. The thing I love about Porsche is that you can look through the evolution; it's still the same silhouette.
Yes.
It's just
Yes.
evolved over time.
I love that. So well put. I love that. I
Yeah.
love that. I love that. Favorite place to travel to and why?
Um, I love going to Cabo. I'm in
Yeah.
LA, so it's like an hour
Yeah.
away. Like,
Yeah. Yeah.
you can do a quick weekend, come back. But my favorite city in the world is probably London.
Really?
I love London. Yeah. I
Oh,
used to
cool.
go, because London's like, New York is a close second. London's like New York, just, everything just, much lower,
Low
no
key.
high rises, just
Yeah. Yeah.
much
Yeah.
flat. And so, yeah, like it's multicultural, like,
Yep.
the food, but it is
Yes.
multicultural and like,
English
it's
food's
just
terrible.
great vibe. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. The English food's terrible, but supposedly the cuisine is great there because it is so multicultural, right? Like you can
Yeah,
eat Indian, you can eat whatever
exactly.
you want, but English
It's
food proper is
exactly
terrible.
that's
Yeah.
very eloquently put. And I'll
Yep.
say this show on Netflix I was watching recently, Top Boy. I don't know if you've seen it,
No.
but I was watching it. It's an interesting show. Check it out. I was watching it and it just made me feel like it's shot out in London. It made me feel like I was back out there. So I was like, all right, I have to go this summer.
I love it. We're doing a whale road show, and we're doing Toronto, London, New York, and
Woo!
LA. So it's gonna
The
be
Well
fun.
Boys get
Yeah,
out.
we gotta go. We gotta do
The Well
community,
Boys.
community, baby, community.
Hey, I'm all for it. I love it, man. I'm about to send this to the team.
Let's
We'll be
go.
right behind you.
Let's go. Okay, 2 more questions, and we'll wrap up the rapid fire. Favorite follow on Twitter?
My favorite follow on Twitter. That is such a great question. Who's my favorite follow on Twitter? I'm blanking out. I'm blanking out right now. I do have a favorite follow. Let me skim through. Ask me another one.
I'll give. This is the last one. This is going to be a tough one though, so you might want to keep your wits about you for this one too. Okay, you could have dinner with anybody, any 3 people, dead or alive, fictional or non-fictional. Who you invite to dinner? You're hosting a 4-person dinner, so you can invite 3 people to dinner. They're dead or alive, fictional or non-fictional. Who are you inviting? You're at a 4-person table. You're sitting at the head. You get to invite 3 people. Who are you inviting?
Who am I inviting to dinner? Oh, that's a good one. That's a really good one. Yeah. For sure, Obama's gonna be on there.
Love it.
Probably on there because I I think he's just a phenomenal leader. Like as far as never met the man. I don't know him, but I just the characteristics I get from him. Who's second on there? Entrepreneur wise, probably Jack Dorsey.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
I think I like he seems like probably the closest thing we're gonna get to jobs.
Yeah.
In this generation with hardware, software, and just the way he thinks about
Yeah.
it. And then the last one, this might be controversial, but Malcolm X.
I love it. All right.
Yeah.
So
I think that'll be a very, very interesting conversation between
100%.
Obama and Malcolm X and Jack Dorsey.
Jack Dorsey. Yeah. You have a co-CEO of two massive companies, historical president, and then a cultural icon.
Yeah.
Those are quick.
You think about
hit
Jack
those
Dorsey,
quick. I like it. Impressive.
Yeah, if you think about Jack Dorsey, like he was like, he was like a low-level engineer at like 29.
100%.
Yeah, he wasn't like, a lot of these tech guys are like 18, I founded my first $1 billion startup. No, he was in the weeds trying to figure it out.
100%. And he was kind of a bit of like an emo little dude and had this like transition. Now he's like high fashion. In this beard.
Yeah.
Like, it's a very cool transition to see and follow him. Actually, Twitter is a great rec. It's a really interesting read. It'll give you totally different. Twitter is fantastic to me where they were so bad that they actually branded how bad they were. Where I'm old, so the kids won't know, but Twitter used to fail all the time. That there was actually a fail whale. It was a fail whale that they branded. Like, what are you talking about? What an interesting company.
Yeah, Zuck said it perfectly. He said when he was trying to buy them, he was like, they drove a clown car into a gold mine.
So perfect. That is perfect. That's exactly it. That is amazing.
Yeah, Twitter is one of the most phenomenal products we have out today. Like, it's super underrated. Like, people think, but it's probably the product I use the most because I'm a reader, right? Like, 100%. I soak in information more like, written than visual these days. So it gives me a ton of value.
I have slept on it for too long. And then I recently came on kind of 1.5 years, 2 years, and it is just value after value. I meet really incredible people. I mean, it really is. It's so much more valuable.
People who want to think, share ideas, share unique ideas, and connect on those ideas and talk about those ideas. right?
Totally
And
with
that's
you, man.
all it is. All that's every single tweet is an idea. It's like,
Yep.
it's not a picture, it's content that's coming from your mind.
Yep. And I like that it is short, so it's a forcing function for people to actually think through versus
Yes.
where you can be. There's that old Mark Twain joke where if you want me to write you, I couldn't write you a short letter. I had to write you long. I'm ruining it, but basically,
Yeah,
it's
yeah, I
much
heard that
harder.
before. I don't know it,
Yeah.
but I heard it before.
Yeah,
A
it's much
variation.
harder to write a shorter letter than it is a longer letter because you actually have
Yeah,
to be
that's the gist
succinct
of
and
it.
think
Yeah.
through it. Yeah. Anywho, Maddie, you made it through rapid fire. You did it,
Man,
my
I
man.
did it.
I'm
I
so
did it.
proud of
I
you.
mean, I'm gonna have to come back in about a year or so and do it all the way because I kind of
Let's
skipped
go.
some questions,
You
but
did
I
didn't
did
give
my
me
best.
you didn't give me the favorite follow on Twitter, but you hit the 3 people question that usually trips everybody up. So we'll call it a wash. We love it.
I'll
Maddie,
take it.
tell people how they can get more involved with GroupShop. How can they follow you? This time is yours, my friend.
Follow me on Twitter, Maddy Sukoru, MADDY SUKORU. I tweet a couple times a week, but I'm more so in there digging and reading and stuff like that, engaging. You can follow GroupShop at groupshop.com. You can follow GroupShop on Twitter, on Instagram, GroupShop it with an IT at end. And yeah, man, I'm here any medium. If you find me, email me. I usually get back to just about everyone, as long as there's value there.
Beautiful. And people, you guys are open registration. People can sign other stores up.
Yeah. So we're still waitlisted, of course, but like
you are waitlisted.
please,
Okay.
please,
Yeah.
please,
Join the
if you have a
waitlist.
cool brand, please sign up to the wait list. We'll get back to you, Paul. From our team, we'll reach out and make sure you get sorted out.
Beautiful.
We're trying
And
to
if
work
anything,
with the best brands out there. Go ahead.
Just go to the website. I mean, it is one of the most beautiful websites. I mean, drip on drip on drip. It is.
Thank you, sir.
Chef's kiss. The
Ooh,
aesthetic and
you,
the flow, everything is gorgeous. You guys really crushed it on that.
Shout out to Nell. Nell did the whole thing, like just pure, just visionary, visual genius on that. Shout out to Nell. Can't take any credit. But thank you, Rob. It means the world.
You guys nailed it.
Yeah, I love what you all are doing. Check out Triple Well as well. I mean, if you're on this podcast, you already know about Triple Well, so none more needs to be said.
Oh, I love you, Maddie. You're the best. You're the best. Yeah, and to Maddie's point, if you want to get involved with Triple Well, it's trytriplewell.com. We are also on the Bird app at Triple Well, and then we have a fantastic newsletter called Whale Mail that goes out every Tuesday, Thursday. You can sign up for that right on our Twitter profile at Triple Well. Maddie, you're the best, my man, dude. I'll hit you up when we're in LA, and if you ever come to Austin, hit me up, let me know. We're actually, we're throwing a DTC award show in September. If you guys want to come out, you should definitely come out the Whaleys. It's going to be a lot of fun. I'll give you the deets on that.
I love award shows.
Yeah. You're LA boy. Of course you love award shows.
Showbiz.
It's showbiz, baby.
Listen, I got a face made for TV.
Let's go. Maddie, this is so much fun, man. Thanks so much for taking the time. I love what you guys are doing over at GroupShop. If you are an awesome brand, go get on that wait list. Tell them Rob sent you, and Maddie will get you expedited into the beta, and they're just doing really amazing stuff over there. And that's 36 in the books, folks. Again, Maddie, thank you so much for the time, and whatever we can do to help you guys out. Amazing, man. You guys are crushing it. You have such a cool story, and I appreciate you sharing it with all of our listeners.
Thank you, sir.
All right.